Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here and introduce you all to iota and really show you how we're doing surgical robotics differently. And so we're a spin out of the University of Iowa, which is one of the leading cochlear implant centers in the country. We've been fortunate to work alongside key KOLs as well as surgical expertise in our development, and also have international cochlear implant manufacturer partnerships. It's sort of culminated into our FDA approval of the first ever in the US and the world robotic-assisted cochlear implant system for electrode array insertion. And so, in general, a cochlear implant is really indicated for patients with severe hearing loss. If you're not a candidate for a hearing aid, or for patients who aren't really getting a benefit from their hearing aid, they're candidates for us. There's over 60 million people globally who are experiencing severe hearing loss, 2.5 million over the age of 60 in the US alone. It's a significant public health problem, and one of the most surprising things that actually sort of led me to start iota is this profoundly under-penetrated market. Less than 5% of patients who are eligible for a cochlear implant by Medicare, very objective criteria, are getting an implant. And so when I started looking at this, as when I was at the University of Iowa and spinning this off, it's really, why was that? And one of the main factors is really the variability and the uncertainty of hearing outcomes that patients are getting with their cochlear implant. And so what that is leading to is really a lack of confidence by both the patient in order to undergo the surgery, just from fear of hearing loss and undergoing that surgery, as well as the surgeon in their comfort level of performing the cochlear implant insertion itself. And so you can see here on the left, this is just, it's currently inserted manually with the pair of forceps by hand. On the left is the forces that cochlea experiences when a surgeon is doing it manually. And you can see is there lots of variability, there's outliers. And so when we were looking at this, he was like, well, this is a perfect solution for robotics. Robotics can bring that precision and that control and constant electrode insertion that we can now really start to standardize cochlear implant insertion. These are just some videos on the left. It's just the cochlea unroofed. This is a surgeon trying to insert an implant very slow, even stabilized. And we're talking, 5 millimeter insertion under a microscope. This is a millimeter or 10 millimeter cochlea size. And then on the right, you can just see the stop and go when they're trying to go slow, and it's sort of beyond the ability of human kinetics. So on the right is a 100 micron per second insertion, and really just a drastic difference in controlling and decreasing the variability compared to manual insertion. And so, like I said, we're the first and only FDA-cleared robotic-assisted insertion system. And I think this picture sort of speaks to, I think, what we're trying to do and how we're doing robotics so differently. So as you can see, the robot is a miniature, tiny, right there alongside the surgeon. The surgeon is still has manual instrumentation and doing what they're sort of trained to do. But at the same time, you have the robot there sort of collaborative right there, right along their side at the surgical site. We're not taking up a giant OR. We have nurses and assistants that can get in there and still do surgery. And so that's what we're really excited about. It's kind of changing the way that surgical robotics is thought about. It's a miniature system. It's a single-use micro-robotic system. It fits right there, mounted on the patient at the surgical site. One of the advantages of our system is it's an open architecture implant agnostic tool, so we can work with all three leading cochlear implant manufacturers, and that gives the patients and the surgeons sort of the freedom to choose what implant type they want, and they can get robotics benefit from it. And again, that micro-level insertion control that you can't physically get with human capability that has shown in studies and literature to improve outcomes. So here's just a video of sort of a quick overview of the system. There's a capital component that comes with the system, and then the single-use drive unit. It's controlled with a foot pedal. It's designed to fit various anatomies based on the surgeon's variability in their approach, lots of flexibility and degrees of freedom. And then I think the most elegant feature of the system is the ability to, here it is, screwing onto the surgical site. Same exact approach that we use, but kind of clip on and off to implants without significantly changing their approach. So 30 seconds to screw the screws down, 10, 20 to load the implant. And then you're sort of ready to go, and you have the benefits of robotics without all the hassle and the setup time. And so now they're under the microscope. They're advancing with their foot pedal, hands-free and stable, 200 microns a second, which minimizing trauma. And so once they're done, again, a simple removal, take the device, dispose of it, and hopefully their outcomes are now optimized and they have confidence in the surgery. So not to overkill it here, but this is a live insertion on the left of a surgeon manually performing it on the right, just to demonstrate what we're showing clinically is the stability and control. So it's sort of going in slow motion, giving the surgeon time to react and optimize their insertion procedure. We've shown the reduction in insertion force variation by up to 78% in maximum insertion forces by up to 51%, and really, again, removing that variability. So we're currently ongoing a limited market release rollout with following our approval. We've 20 plus clinical cases to date. Again, this is to show just the implant compatibility and the agnostic nature of it. And one of the things we're excited about is just, one, the surgeon's excitement, but also from the patient perspective. I think we're seeing, patients are now saying at some of the key sites that we're at, they're waiting for the rollout to be available to their sites and before they want to undergo cochlear implantation. They're seeing, patients coming from other centers asking to now go to the site that has the robotic system. So we're starting to see an early impact just in the couple weeks that we've been launching. And so again, it's that comfort that patients have to undergo surgery. That question of whether you or your loved one to undergo surgery, you want the best, you want to optimize it. And then for the surgeons, it's just the confidence to help standardize it. Maybe you don't do 100 implants a year, maybe you do 10 to 20, but that's the power of robotics to kind of standardize your procedure. From the hospitals, it's the patient volume that they're seeing growth from sort of the billboard effect, as well as the standardizing the procedure results. And then for the implant manufacturers that we're working closely with, it's really almost a tool and a mechanism to help catalyze their market growth, increase their market share, and differentiate. And so this is just a slide to just demonstrate how we think iota robotic solutions can really catalyze the cochlear implant market and break through that really stagnant utilization rate that we've seen over the last 30 years that the cochlear implant has been around. So this is our team. We've a strong core team. I think we have Eric Timko as our chairman, comes from a surgical robotics background at Blue Belt and Smith & Nephew. Marlon's the chair at the University of Iowa, co-founder and I, and then Chris Smith helps us. He was the former CEO of Cochlear, helps us with kind of the working with the partnerships. And again, our clinical advisors have just been phenomenal to really make a solution that fits in with the current approach. So, like I said, ongoing LMR, really KOLs driving our adoption, collecting market data, product feedback at different hospital sites on the value side. And then in parallel to that, we're still sort of developing these product pipelines that I think iotaSoft is really central to enabling all these other added features being the center of it. So we have a real-time monitoring system that detects cellular trauma in real time. Now feeds back to the robotic system and can stop automatically. You can couple in some analytics and insights now that we're able to capture what the surgeon's actually doing in the OR and in the case, and couple that with preoperative and postoperative data that's out there, and really start to potentially make an impact on outcomes. So beyond cochlear implants, we're sort of looking to the future as well, where precision, accuracy, and consistency really matters to decrease side effects and improve efficacy of other implant types. And so we're excited about this, but keeping our heads down, focused on the cochlear implant space. Like I said here, getting commercial traction, expanding our indications to the pediatric population that's ongoing, and then expanding electrode compatibility. There's a variety of arrays, and so we're adding that as well. And happy to talk more about this, our strategic funding directions following on to here. So yeah, just in summary, I hope you kind of can see how we're approaching robotics a little bit differently. We're the first and only FDA-approved micro-robotic electrode array insertion system for cochlear implants. Really hoping that it can catalyze and improve access, patient access to cochlear implants and increase utilization, as well as kind of see it in the future as really a compelling central hub technology that's been driving the spokes on the value for all the stakeholders involved, not only in cochlear implant, but sort of beyond as well. So yeah, I just want to say thanks and happy to talk more afterwards.